Or
Yeah. Recently, every day's been busy. Yep, 12 hours a day. So
fair enough, fair enough.
yeah,
I think one of the big benefits of the market being like currently down is in being able to develop without people rushing you for the next bull craze.
it's the best time to build. Although I don't let my community rush me. They get it. Rushing never ends up in a good spot, really. Honestly.
Yeah, facts.
But yeah, it's the best time to build, and I think we have another solid couple months of boring crypto time. Clearly, that hasn't gotten all the stress out that it wants to get out, as 5 minutes ago indicated. I don't know what's going on. The markets are. No one knows. No one knows. Not even the whales know.
Anyways, I think we can get started. People can flock in more if they will.
Flock away.
Anyways, I'd just like you to introduce yourself. Maybe people from Dingos may not know who you are, so go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm HarmonyWon. I chose Harmony because it's cheap and fast, in a nutshell. And I like Steven Z's qualifications. So about 16 months ago, I started trading. And this was back in the Viper community coin days and MtopSwap and Prozac. I'm not sure if how long you've been in the Harmony ecosystem, but how long have you been around?
I've been here before LootSwap released, so quite old, but not old enough for Mochi.
Well, that's probably a good thing in some regards, but not to hate on them at all. But it didn't turn out super well for One Moon and other things. But we'll see what happens. But regardless, so it sounds like maybe mid-year, last year-ish.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I basically came in in January-ish of last year and started trading a lot and networking and enjoyed it and got addicted to DeFi and eventually I was able to quit my full-time job a few months ago and started really networking with all the different projects and kind of diving into the community. And I've made some mistakes and I've learned a lot of lessons, as we all probably have, and ended up taking matters into my own hands and creating kind of a grassroots project. And here we are in a nutshell. And before this, I was a piano player and graphic designer.
Piano player?
Yeah, I played most of my life.
Damn, that's hot.
Thanks. It's pretty spicy sometimes, but it's not a consistent income. It's always just going to be a love of mine, but not something I want to do full time necessarily. I did it full time for a while, and background music and weddings and dinners and events and such. And yeah, it's definitely fun, but you can still do those things while having a consistent income. So anyway, I'm just happy I was able to quit my 9-to-5 last November or so after a series of pretty good trades. And since then, I'm hoping to get this project off the ground so I can pay my team and my mods and myself in a way that's sustainable for everybody.
Awesome. It's always good to have people who are willing to pay their employees, because in this crypto space, so many people are going underpaid and so many people are missing payments and
volunteer. Yeah, I mean, it's the risk we take, right?
Yeah,
it's like joining a band that you really like being a part of, but most people don't get paid living wage for being part of a band. They just enjoy the music. So
yep.
So hopefully that's a decent enough background. I don't have crazy credentials and I'm not very technical. I just did well, and I contracted people out to do the technical work, right? And luckily enough, networked a lot over the last year and met people that I could trust, as it's so hard to find in this industry. And it's so hard to find in general. It's just especially in this emerging technology. But yeah, man, it's been great so far. So.
Yeah, I think I share the same. Well, probably not the same, because you're probably more in tune with graphic design and all that. So
Maybe.
But I also contract people. I don't do a lot of the coding and stuff. I just manage people. So
Yeah, bring people together.
yeah, exactly.
And hopefully have a decent sense of judgment. But, again, it's so hard, especially with the anonymous and trustless nature of the space. It's very hard.
Exactly. So would you like to talk about the MtopSwap? Just so people who don't know about it, or give like a brief introduction, I guess, of the project.
Yeah, so essentially being a day trader on DeFi, I saw a lot of room for improvement, especially in the user interface, user experience side. And by user experience, I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. Like a lot of independent developers are forking things, and that's fine. But it leads to very it doesn't lead to a great user experience. When the internet was first born in the early 90s, everything was really clunky and hard to use. And that's kind of what I see in this space now. We're like in the internet in like 1989 or 1991 or something like that. Very early ages still. And it's all just a bunch of independent people, all over the world, building things. So I saw a lot of room for improvement, especially in the user experience side. I mean, think of it as like Apple was really the first company to bring user experience to the forefront. So with that in mind, we wanted to create an aggregator that basically aggregates all the swaps on Harmony, the most popular ones, 12 of them and counting, and allow you to trade on them simultaneously on the same page, with price charts and many other features to come. But you have Viper Swap, you have DeFi Kingdoms, you have Loot Swap, you have Open Swap, all open on the same page, and you can trade all your coins or track all of your assets in real time. Because as you know, on the swap pages, things load in real time, so you can just kind of track all your investments if you have more than one. And instead of forking the front end Sushi Swap code with over hundreds of thousands of lines of code, just years of developers coming on and working around, we decided to start from scratch and got it down to 3,500 lines of code. So it's much faster. There's no BS. There's no extras. It's just straight, swapping. So we wanted to aggregate all the dexes together. It's really a swap aggregator as opposed to a liquidity or a price aggregator, as people are used to. And tab reduction, and that led to ideas on all different kinds of other software that we want to develop over time, which we can talk about later. But the core idea of it is an aggregator of swaps, all on the same page with the price charts there, instead of having a million tabs open. It's a little fragmented. So,
I'd say that as when I came in here last year, interacting with a swap for the first time, I don't know what the hell I was doing.
No one does.
And then it took me a few days of asking people around, how do I do this, how do I do that, to get comfortable with doing it myself, stuff, right?
Yeah.
So simplifying this process in the way that you guys are aiming to do, I think helps, especially for new people. If you see DFK with the tutorial videos and tutorial Gitbook pages, it helps in a certain way. But if the swap itself is complex, it's a higher barrier of entry, I'd say.
Yeah, reducing the barrier of entry is important. You go on DFK, you have the tavern, dancer, stylist, trader, vendor, all this stuff, they have their code words, and I get why they do. But it's very confusing to a newcomer. And yeah, it's that barrier of entry that we just kind of want to try and reduce, and education is an important part of that. And safety too.
Yep, 100%. I know you guys have something that looks for honeypots.
It's in the plans, yeah. A honeypot detector, yeah. So the goal here is to get the aggregator running first, right? And then we need to get our MtopSwap liquidity pool going, as well as liquidity pools with all a lot of big projects, a lot of projects around Harmony, Evo, HFill, Rave, Colony, Oil, Hermes, all of them. And then we want the price charts, right, attached to each of the swap. And then after that, we're going to focus on a series of security features. One being a honeypot detector that basically, a honeypot is, for those of you who don't know, is when you buy a coin and you're unable to sell it. Sometimes it's just always that way, and sometimes you can sell it at first and then they change it over time. There's many different sneaky methods that they use. But instead of having to test that manually, we're going to have something that takes a new pair on Dex Screener, where people might not know what it is, and swaps in and out a couple times to make sure that you can sell, at least at that moment in time. Of course, we can't predict if people will change it over time, but at least, again, just a slight reduction in the barrier to entry and improving security, as well as a blacklisted wallet database, of which we already have. It's almost 180 wallets long now, but we have a few of our mods who, I know, a few of our mods who look at all the new pairs and look at the funding wallet of that pair. And God bless them, man. They do a lot of work every single day. Within 5 minutes, we know, if a new pair has been created by a scam wallet or a wallet that has previously created a token that has committed liquidity fraud, basically, i.e., pulled the liquidity. And these people are all playing around and having fun, but they don't realize the seriousness of what they're doing, honestly. But we're tracking it and logging it regardless. And eventually, we want notifications. Say you add a new pair on a swap and you don't know what you're doing, you get a notification saying, hey, this wallet has created a token that has rugged. It's probably a scam,
Right.
So those are some of the security features we want to do when the time is right after we release our core features. So that'd probably be like July, August timeframe.
Right. And when you guys release your aggregate swap, you guys are planning to adopt a battle pass system, I'd say. I don't know how you'd word it, but
it's basically like a software as a service model. Like, think in Web 2, you pay $30 a month for Netflix. It's basically a monthly subscription that you pay to access the software. Now, you can access limited parts of it. You can have one swap open with a drop down of all the dexes, but maybe not multiple on a page without. Basically, we're using NFTs unlike really anyone else. Kind of, we're using the NFT as something that the software checks against to make sure you have the most updated one for that month. And then after 30 days, it expires, and you mint another one. So it's basically a software as a service with a subscription-based model, and that subscription is the NFT basically. And each month you'll mint another NFT that expires, right? And if you want to continue using the full services, so it kind of creates, and it's minted using MTOP, not HarmonyWon. That's our native token. So it kind of creates recurring demand for the token, driven by like real utility and software that people can actually use on a daily basis.
Yep, 100%. In regards to the MTOP token, your native token, are you guys? So you guys have an aggregate swap, and most people, have the connotations of swap being a DEX, right? I don't think you guys are releasing a DEX.
No, we're not going to be a DEX. We're basically taking all of the exchanges that exist and putting them in one spot and allowing people to trade all of them at once if they wish on a single page.
Right. And have you guys have any plans on where you're releasing you're going to release your token on?
The token was released a few months ago, so that's already out.
Okay.
Yep. And the swap itself, the actual software, is actually being tested starting this weekend, and we're going to internally test it and try and break it, and release it on May 15th. So a week away. So we can have.
Awesome. More than happy to share that link. That happens in the Dingos Discord.
Yes. Thank you.
I don't know if one of your mods is listening or anything. If they'd like to find a swap that has the token on it or the contract address and then like to put it in chat, feel free to do so.
Yeah, I can do that if they don't, but they probably already have. I'll link it.
They act quick. I saw it in your chat.
Let's see if they can beat me. Nope, not quite the King of Philly. Sorry, buddy. He's fast, but he's not that fast. That's our deck screen.
Okay, that's awesome.
But yeah, I use Token Jenny to make it,
right.
And there's a million
Token Jenny
available.
was great.
Yeah, it really is. It's an old school coin. It's been around for a while now.
Yeah, I remember all the Mayans. I don't know what they're doing with it now, though.
I think they have a roadmap for this year. They have a couple of plans. Still working. They won the wait. Actually, Kuroshiba won the MtopSwap community coin contest. That was a crazy time for those of you who were around.
That was the yin yang. Do you know that?
Yeah, yin and yang, and that's when Rave kind of came up too, and all their Rave lore coins. It was a wild time.
That was like a super bird or whatever.
Oh my gosh, there were so
all
many
these random tokens, and like
so many.
Right now they're like probably like just people don't know about them anymore. But they used to be polls on DFK, like official polls by DFK. For these random ass tokens.
Yeah, there was one called Triple Dog Dare You. There was one there were just hundreds of them. It was a good time to know about DeFi,
Yeah.
You could put 20, 30, 40 times if you wanted to, I suppose, but
yeah. That was the good. Yeah,
it was.
You have to go to a new chain for that.
Yeah, maybe Aurora or something is doing some stuff. But those days are over for Harmony, I think. Maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll go through some of the community questions.
Sure. You can start with the one you'd like.
Here, will you ever have a DAO?
Initially we wanted to have a DGen DAO, because honestly, I thought it was required for a Harmony grant, but it turns out it's not. And I have personal feelings about the number of DAOs that Harmony is focusing on. I think they should focus on tech. They're going a little DAO crazy right now. There's a point of diminishing returns, right? Like, it's just over DAO usage. So personally, if we can find a genuine use for it, like maybe governance, then sure we will. But right now we don't have plans to. No.
Right. Yeah. So you mentioned Harmony grant doesn't actually require it?
Yes. Well, It depends on the type of grant that you apply to. Fair
enough. I think there was another question somewhere.
Oh yeah.
They asked
the
about
70K.
the 70K grant thing.
Yeah. Let's see here. Where was that one?
You mentioned that you were applying for a 70K Harmony grant.
Yeah.
Recommended and standard launch grant amount is 50K. These 50K grant seems relatively hassle-free to obtain. Asking for 20K will bring more questions. Why have you decided to ask for 20K more?
Yep. So we're actually applying for a $75,000 grant, even more. And the reason being, quite frankly, is because software is difficult to develop, and it's also very expensive. A large majority of that is going to just go to audits, paying our team and mods, and mostly paying our developer and allowing our developer to hopefully even hire one or two additional, even part-time, to assist with the plans we have, for the rest of the year and the year after, being a portfolio manager, transaction visualizers, wallet timeline visualizers, so many things that we want to see that we could do with one developer, but regardless, even with one, it's gonna be expensive. And I think we have a solid use case here, creating something that's really, really unique on Harmony. So as long as we take time with our grant and provide a really good use case and value add to the ecosystem, and hopefully blockchain overall, because we will go cross-chain quickly. It's hopefully we have no issues. So we'll see what happens. Worst case scenario, they'll say, hey, we'll approve you for 50 instead of 75, and we'll say, okay, thank you.
but yes, please pay for more devs so that you can fix the transactions, because no one is taking Harmony Explorer on like tax stuff.
Well, that too. Yeah, exactly. So that will just make it. We'll just have to provide a great proposal on the use case that we'll add over time, and the subscription to our services being recurring is hopefully going to monetize our product so that we're self-sustaining eventually. But at first, right now, this is out of my own personal pocket so far. Like obviously, I've only lost money so far in a good way. Help would be nice. So I think they'll get that, and I hope to talk to them on voice and video and docs and do all that good stuff. And
Yeah, I'm also doing this out of my pocket so far. So I know what the struggles and all the like euphoria that you go through.
Yeah, I love giving and I love providing for the project, but there's a limit to that. Especially not having a full-time job for 6 or 7 months with inflation and a market that's doing poorly, right? It's important to have a little boost, and we're lucky to be on a chain that at least provides that. Even if people complain about how they give away the funds, we're still really, really lucky to have that opportunity.
So with this subscription, we've talked about this quite a bit, but
Sure. Yeah.
so there is you mint the subscription with the MTOP tokens, right?
Correct. Yep.
So I saw this question earlier in the AME questions channel. There was one about by KVN. Will the membership fee be adjusted in accordance with the MTOP price?
Yeah. So this is a common question, and most coins are volatile. It's hard to price it, even in HarmonyWon. Hell, even the U.S. dollar is volatile at this point. But we decided to mint these subscriptions with MTOP, of course, right, to provide really, really strong utility for the coin. And of course, that's going to come with volatility. So we want to keep the price around $30 to $35 a month or so, kind of on par with a lot of monthly subscription services, especially software-based ones. In fact, that would be cheap for software-based services, like Adobe is more than that, and things like that. But short answer, yes. We'll adjust the fee like when appropriate. So each month, when we create a new, basically copy paste the contract, right, and make sure that the software looks at that specific 0x for that month. And if it sees it in your wallet, then you can access the software. And each month we can kind of reevaluate based off the price of MTOP, so it's not too cheap or too expensive. And it shouldn't be too hard to change the mint price, right? But that's something that will be dynamic.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Here.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever thought about doing like a free trial period kind of thing, or?
Oh yeah, I should probably mention that. And I should probably finish our Git book too. That's coming Saturday night, by the way. That's a lot of stuff. The first week will be free for every 0x visiting. So you'll be able to access everything for 7 days, just so you can see. I think it's really, really important to have that, right? So you can see and use it and hopefully really, really love it and see that it's much, much, much faster than anything you've probably ever used in terms of Harmony, at least. And likely beyond, to be honest. So yeah, we're giving the first week free. And then after that, the features will still be there, actually, but just very, very reduced, unless you mint, the NFT for that month.
It's great. A lot of these like services or like games, they sometimes don't show you what actually the product is, and it makes you like try and gamble whether you like it or not. So it's great that you have something.
Yeah, people will see it. Yep, for $0.
It's awesome. Will MtopSwap offer liquidity pools?
Yes.
Yes.
Another unique thing to add on top of that, a little bit to expound on it a bit. I personally, this is an unpopular opinion, I know, but I'm not a big fan of high APRs. I just don't think they're sustainable. I think APRs are important, but not unsustainable ones, which most have, and that's fine. I get it. It just attracts one-time buyers who ape in and farm forever, and that's great, but it's not healthy for the protocol long term. And you notice it kind of forces the coin to have hype forever, but eventually, things get diluted, and both in terms of number of products in the chain overall and the literal, circulating supply gets diluted. And once hype dies down, price does too. And I just don't want a token that's built to go down or farm. I want a token that has strong utility, that has an actual purpose. Beyond even a game, really, because games do have purpose, because entertainment is utility, of course. But in terms of the software that people are using, right? I want to make sure that people aren't buying it because they want high APYs, but because they want to renew their subscription and use our full set of services. So our goal when we test our MtopSwap contract, which we'll have in late June, or I'd say probably early June. We want it just above mainnet stake, Harmony mainnet stake, which is like 10 to 12%. So ideally, the APYs will be 14 or 15%, and that will be 9 million MTOP of 1 million currently in circulating supply. So the other 9 million will be emitted over 5 or 6 years. So it'll take a while, but they'll be there. Yeah. I just wanted to add there'll be low APY.
Yeah, I do think a lot of projects miss that long-term vision. I think everyone's like, the bull market is here. We gotta chase it, kind of thing. It's all short term.
Free tokens.
Yeah, and then they have a locking mechanism, which just I don't know.
No, we won't. We're not only will we have low APYs, but we'll have limits on the dollar amount that people can put in. Which, of course, can be circumvented, but we'll at least make it hard for them.
Yeah, like with Dingos, I think I share the same sentiment, but we won't be having liquidity pools. We won't be offering liquidity pools, in the sense that, for example, we can partner up with different projects. For example, like if I partner up with DFK, we're not going to emit you DG tokens. We're going to emit you DFK Jewel. Right?
Yeah, incentivize LP pools. Yep.
Yeah, and then, but in terms of emitting DG tokens, it would be based on your gameplay. It'd be based on your time spent on playing the game instead of just having big bags and putting it all into pools to get 10,000 tokens a day.
Yeah, it's the wrong type of buyer, right? In my opinion, it's people who just want to ape and farm forever, which is fine. But let's create real utility and usefulness for the tokens as opposed to giving them out so easily.
Exactly, and I think the term is called play to earn, not stake to earn, right?
Sure. Yeah, play to earn.
Yeah, that's like my motto going forward. So
yeah, that's rare. So you're very similar to us in that regard. I mean, hell, that's even more strict than ours. Because we're at least offering 15% a year, but now you got me thinking. I mean,
you're still gonna be able to, get DG tokens like every day as long as you play the game, I guess. But there's gonna be like a hard cap to like the amount you can get a day, so you're not gonna be able to like whale it out.
Yeah, I love that. I honestly love that. It's an uncommon opinion. I think it's an unpopular opinion generally. People are like, well, APYs attract buyers. And they do. They really do. But one-time buyers, usually. Or few time buyers. But, we'll see what happens, right? And I have a feeling that our tokens price action will reflect that.
Yeah. Awesome.
For sure.
I'm just taking a read at the questions here.
Yeah, take your time.
I think this questions here are really good. We talked a lot about the strengths of the aggregate and like the vision of the project. But do you see any like risks or weaknesses?
Many, like any project, right? First of all, we're trying a system that is kind of new, i.e., a recurring subscription NFT that expires. So, risks being, what if there's no demand? What if the swaps aren't really that? What if people don't care that there are so many tabs open? That's fine that there's tabs open. I think the real utility will come in the speed of it too, and everything being one place. But there's a risk of not enough demand. This is also a grassroots project. So there's a funding risk, right? What if we don't get the grant? What's our plan? And our plan is we have plenty of community members, and I also have more personal funds, and venture capitalists. There's always those and things like that. But that's a risk. And of course, having not forked the sushi front end code, like most do, the risk was, what if we do something wrong in that way? Like, what if it's much harder to recreate the front end than we thought? And we actually had to delay already. We were going to release May 1st. We moved it to May 15th because we wanted time to internally test. And we ran into a few bugs that we've since fixed. But, there's risks there not forking the front end. But luckily, we were able to get it down to 3,500 lines of code instead of hundreds of thousands. and as of only a few days ago, it's working like a charm, and we have transactions going through properly. So the 3 risks: funding, and workability.
Yeah, I do think it's really important for a project, especially the project manager and the head, is to know where their shortcomings are. A lot of people only focus about, hey, we're doing this, it's gonna be so cool, this guy is so good, but then they don't notice the areas where they could be making a mistake, for example. And then it tends to backfire on them later in the stages.
And you know what else is important? Changing your mind. That's important too. Like listening to feedback and being open to switching things up, like not being super, super set, like my way or the highway kind of vibe.
Exactly. Especially in game development, when a lot of things you have to balance and stuff, like balance patches and all that. Like, you envision it in some sort of way. You want this to happen, but if it's not fun or if it's not fair for other people, people will shout. People will talk about it, and you'll have to learn to accept what the community says and not always think from only your head. So
absolutely, yeah, agree. Got to take other perspectives into mind, and I change my mind all the time. This project has been a lot of other things than what it is now.
And I do like your plans for moving forward in terms of cross-chaining as well, because I do think that's a really big question with a lot of the projects these days. After DFK did their big movement, will you go cross-chain? And I do think MtopSwap is the foundation is really easy to bring over to other chains as long as you get this one done, because I'm sure EVM should be similar to all the other chains. So
Yep. It's basically, it'll need a new tab because you'll need a new RPC. If only there was one RPC that worked for every single chain, that would be epic. But it's physically impossible, apparently. And that's fine. But yeah, it's easy to get the routing addresses of the dexes and all the contract addresses of the tokens and simply add them into the current wrapper that we have, aggregator.
Yep.
That can happen rather quickly too. Everything's just so fragmented, right? It'll be nice to have everything in one spot and working.
In that same line of topic, have you heard of cross liquidity?
Yeah. Essentially, providing LP pools cross chain as you would with partner projects.
Yeah, so it'd be I'd say is there this is more of a personal question. Is there some sort of way for one day all Harmony projects having the same liquidity, instead of saying Viper has X amount of liquidity for X token, and
I
like
don't know.
DFK has a different.
I don't know. I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. I mean, I think as a token gets bigger overall, the liquidity gets to a point where it kind of evens out over time. Like a lot of coins that are listed on centralized exchanges, like the big boys, they're so big that $1 million difference doesn't mean anything for price at all. Like HarmonyWon, for instance. So I guess the answer to that would be depends on how much liquidity you have overall. If you have $1 billion market cap, then your liquidity is probably pretty stable across any exchange that you're on, right?
Right.
But if you have anything less than that, it's going to be unbalanced and usually balanced towards the one you started on, right? At least that's what I found. Could be wrong there. No liquidity expert. Good questions.
Yeah, because I think some projects that I've heard of, what they're doing is instead of creating a new DEX with a new liquidity, if they wanted to have a DEX, they'd be just forking the front end, just similar to like forking SushiSwap, but like using their liquidity as well and just adding new tokens into there, I guess.
Yeah, that's interesting. You'd have to split the liquidity in half, and use the same amount of money into it. But not everyone has, say your coin grows by 10 times, suddenly you'd have to come up with all that money. If you wanted it to truly be equal, and that's just not sustainable for many projects who are already struggling to pay for development, etc.
I'd like to push this question to you because I was asked this quite a few AMAs ago, but like, what do you think about like Harmony as of now, and like, like, what are your stance on Harmony and like the core team or like development side?
Yeah, well, they've been through a lot. When Harmony first came out for the first year, it pretty much only went down. If you look at the price action, like before December of 2020, they built the entire time, and of course, Steven C's credentials are standing, having worked on Google Maps, which is pretty epic, and working with Apple and other just large companies. I loved that, and being based in San Francisco, one of the few based in the U.S. even, right by all those companies that he used to work for. In my mind, at least in my Moon Boy mind, I was like, well, what if they partner with Apple? That could be great. Whatever. Regardless, his credentials are impressive, and the people he surrounded himself with are also impressive, and they focused on tech. And over the last 6 months, unfortunately, they focused on DAOs, which is fine. I don't think DAOs should go away, but I think the focus needs to shift back to tech, and specifically helping the projects that are already on the chain and the developers that have come from EA Games, that have come from basements all over the world, just helping them flourish, like focusing on that instead of making it kind of an afterthought. I know we have grants, and again, that's great, but it goes beyond just shoveling money over and saying, here you go, good luck. It needs to be more hands-on, and I think the focus on DAOs is a little misguided, but I also think that they're going to shift focus, and I am a Harmony Maxi, because at the end of the day, we still are the most used chain with the cheapest fees. There are some who are cheaper, but they don't really have much going on. We have a solid amount of GameFi, and it's just a really unique situation we've got. Yeah, the cheap fees allow for many interactions with the contract. I've always said a chess game on Ethereum would cost thousands of dollars. It's accepted a transaction, right? But on Harmony, it's less than one. So
yeah, like imagine like the winning prize for winning that chess tournament is like 1 ETH, but you pay like 10 ETH in gas.
Yeah, I mean, I love Ethereum and what they've done and everything, but that's just the fact of the matter is GameFi is moving to chains like us and Avalanche is still close to $1-ish. That's still too much, in my opinion. We're 100 times cheaper than that. And we have a team behind that. All they have to do is say, hey, we're shifting focus to tech and DAOs aren't going away, but we're not going to just hyper focus on it like we have been for a half of a year now.
Buying blue
I think they'll do that. Yeah, that's another one. I think it's kind of half a big brain move and half a waste of money. It's kind of both at the same time. I'm not sure what to think about it. There's got to be other incentives that people aren't thinking about there. But
it was a big brain play that we didn't expect. It got us talking.
It did. It definitely got us talking. Yeah, they could have used that to have one-on-ones with DFK and and Evo and Moon Robots and us and other projects that are already here building right now and trying to establish themselves, and some of which are struggling, helping them with auditing their contract, testing their contract, etc. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's fine. I'm sure they have plans with it. They're smart people, and I do think they will shift back to a tech focus. I really do.
I do agree that if Harmony could play it's going to be difficult with the amount of projects on Harmony, but
yeah,
if they could do something like as you said, help with the audits and stuff like that, I think it really helps. Especially with projects that have smaller team sizes or smaller capitals.
Yeah, smaller experience.
Yeah,
it's. I think it'll happen. I think we'll see it happen. I have faith.
There's a question here about mechs.
Yeah. So that is the NFT mechas. At first, we were going to say, all right, you mint your 30-day subscription, which gives you access to our software, is just going to be like a little token that you mint, and every 30 days it would expire, and you would mint another one. Mm-hmm. But we thought it would be more fun to, give it a face, or a robot, I should say, in this case. Well, I guess robots have faces too. Yeah, but yeah. So it's basically. In order to create scarcity and make it a little more fun, we're going to make an initial robot, right? Mecha NFT, and I can post what it's going to look like in here. But the initial mecha will exist, right? And then after 30 days, on month 2, if you want to renew your subscription, you would mint another NFT, but it wouldn't be another robot, and it wouldn't be the same robot. It would be an upgrade to that robot. So that upgrade would only be available for that month. So if you decided to subscribe the first month and not the second, you would miss out on the first upgrade forever. But then you decided to renew on the third, then you would still get the upgrade for that third month, but you would still miss out on that second month upgrade to your robot eventually. And as you can see from the picture I just posted, it starts out really simple, and the upgrades will kind of continue on forever. And it'll slowly get more badass and more cool as time goes on. And maybe the whole robot will turn into the arm of a bigger robot a year down the road or whatever. And what that will also create is scarcity, because there will be fewer and fewer people each month who renew every single month. So over time, it should create a very scarce asset, right? That has all the upgrades. You just physically can't get the upgrades that are offered that month ever again. If that makes sense. So it creates a little more incentive to maybe have some fun with it and make your robot look cooler, basically.
Right. With that said, do these upgrades do anything, or is it just purely visual?
Good question. For now, it's purely visual and scarcity based, because originally it was just going to be a boring token. Now down the road, this does obviously leave room to gamify it, but we're really going to focus on a portfolio manager and price charts and cross-chain aggregation and all those security features like the honeypot detector and the blacklisted wallet notifications and things like that. So I personally don't want to gamify it, but down the road it's certainly possible. It's just not something I'm thinking about at the moment.
Right. And then in terms of the NFTs, or like the token for the subscription, will they be transferable?
Well, since they're kind of unique in that they expire, you don't lose your mecha. just the software looks for a different NFTs or X for that month, right? And says, do you have this new one for this month with this upgrade? If so, then you can access all of our software. If not, then you can't. Just like paying $30 for Netflix. So in that sense, I don't know if they're going to be transferable. Maybe giftable, but transferable probably not, as they just kind of act as a subscription to the software itself. So it's kind of different, right? It's not like a typical NFT that you would trade.
Yeah, exactly. Because one of the big things about trading tokens, I'd say, is it creates the ability for, like, I don't know. I guess less so in a subscription-based software like you have. That's not really an incentive to create multiple wallets to do it and trade it out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if someone decides not to renew for the second month, they're going to miss out on that upgrade forever. And personally, I don't want them to have the chance to have it. Right? It creates an incentive to renew, right? Because it's not too much money, and hopefully the swap aggregation itself and the price charts and everything provide enough utility, especially having used it a week for free, right? To create that incentive to simply just renew it using MTOP as opposed to possibly trading it or buying it on the market. So we're not even going to list on MetaTR.1 or NFT Key, anything like that. No plans to.
It's awesome.
It's different. We'll see what it does.
I think that's all the questions the community has and the questions I have. Do you have any questions for us or anything you're curious about?
Yeah, so I see a lot of things on your roadmap, and you mentioned DG token, obviously, which isn't out yet, right? What's the current state of that, and when you plan on releasing it on the open market? I assume with the game, right?
Yes. So there's a placeholder token right now called XTG, and that's basically what it is like, okay, so the big thing about minting and then game development is that there's a huge gap in between. You've minted out, and then what next? There's just a huge gap into, like, before the game actually comes out, right?
Yeah.
So I guess the one thing that we've done to, like, give people something for their, like, early investment is the ability to stake their Dingos.
Sure.
And so it's a partnership with Kuroshiba, where if you stake your Dingos, you get an XDG token, which will be redeemable in the future for actual DG tokens in, like, a 10-to-1 ratio. So you're earning $1 a day, basically.
10-to-1. I like that. Usually it's 1-to-1. You guys chose 10-to-1. Interesting.
10-to-1 just for the bigger numbers, so it looks like, wow, that's a lot. It's a lot of psychology.
Yeah, sure. I get that. Big number. It's like.
Yeah. So and then as you mentioned, the DG token, very much so that we're planning to release the token when the actual game comes out and not before the game comes out.
Yeah, okay. I like that. Because as you said, you won't be offering liquidity pools aside from incentivized ones on other partner projects that emit their token, not yours, but instead just using it for gameplay. Yeah. Speaking of that, I had another question on gameplay. In your Git book, you mentioned that it's GTA style missions, right? And I love Grand Theft Auto, and so do a lot of other people. It's a great, thing to aspire to, right? Because it's such a fun, awesome game that everyone knows. Well, everyone cool, anyways. And so like, what in what way more specifically will it be like GTA? Like, are you talking about, like, how the missions function, like how you accept and go about doing missions, or more in terms of, like, the open world that you explore?
I'd say for the most part it's the open world, and how, like, in GTA, like, there's, like, those random circles, like those, and then you go there and then it starts, like, a scene or, like, a mission, right?
Yeah, you don't know what it's going to be necessarily. Yeah.
Yeah, so when it's things like that, I think it adds a lot to the excitement. So it could be like, okay, so every account or every wallet playing on the game has 2 weekly missions, and these are the big scene missions, and then let's just say we create like 20 scenes and they loop over, every week is 2 random from that pool, right?
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of excitement and like a bit of it's a new mission and kind of thing, or like, so it's not always the stale same thing, right?
Yeah, something new and fresh. And ideally you set it up in a way that's not super difficult to develop all these new missions, right?
It's most likely going to be like piggybacking like the same foundations but doing different tasks and different storylines.
I love that. Yeah, and I love GTA, so I love that you're doing that.
We're also gonna very much do so, like how in GTA multiplayer you can just randomly shoot people.
Yeah.
What we want to do is have like PvP areas, or like there's some areas where like you can't get attacked. Some areas if you go to, okay, for example, like there could be like a mission inside this PvP area. If you complete it, you get like 2 times the amount tokens gained instead of the regular missions, right? And here, if you go there and you shoot someone else, you have the potential to take their DG tokens.
Oh, that's so fun.
Right? But it's not going to be like, I'm going to, like, it's not going to be like, you're a whale, I'm going to steal 1 million tokens from you. No, it's going to be like,
fair.
It'll be a fair thing and stuff like that.
So that'll be like a contract interaction, right? So like you say you shoot someone and then MetaMask pops up, right? It's like accept, right? There's something like that.
It'd be more like because we talked to the devs and talked to the smart contract writers. It'd be more of an instance based thing. So like, okay, we if I do decide to battle you, or if it won't be like I can just like snipe you from some random building, right? It'd be like I'd have to confront you. So it initiates a smart contract, and then you do whatever, and then it ends.
It's like a duel, like challenging you to a duel kind of situation.
Yeah, so it's not like it won't like break the immersion as well. Can you imagine like you have a 25 clip magazine and you like sign 25 transactions?
Yeah, that's what I asked, right? Because it's like that's the whole problem. The fun problem to solve with GameFi is how do you interact with the contract and without breaking the immersion and making it fun. So it just makes it realistic to actually make something, maybe, if you're good at it.
Yeah, and I do think one of the major downfalls of a lot of GameFi is the idea of making everything NFTs.
Yeah.
Like for example, our like apart from the open world, our main gameplay loop of earning tokens or earning emissions is like professions. So I'm not sure if you've played MMOs before.
Yeah, I have.
Like how those MMOs have like you can spec into like, okay, I'm going to be foraging, or like or you can choose mining, right? So you can either get ores or you can either get like herbs, right? So instead of instead of saying that you can do both, you're only allowed one. So you can only do foraging or you only can do mining, right? And then when you get material A, B, so you go to those nodes where the material spawns, and then you can AFK there, or you can do whatever, or you can. I don't know. It'd probably be like a MetaMask interaction of like staking your dingo to that area, so you're AFKing, earning that material. And then let's say once you have three different types of material, you can combine them into an NFT.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
So instead of saying, okay, you get 3 NFTs combined into one NFT, you get 3 in-game items, combined it so you can get an NFT.
Yeah, the items. So the items themselves are not NFTs, but together they form one kind of situation.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so that reduces the amount of like smart
Interaction.
contract calls,
Yep.
transaction fees and stuff like that, and I
Yeah.
guess it helps increase the immersion of the game.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Makes it easier to code too from a smart contract perspective. I'm sure your developers appreciated that.
Yeah.
But
So in
that's nice.
yeah,
You guys have put a lot of thought into the details. I love that. Absolutely love that.
definitely.
Do you have do you know what initial liquidity will be for DG or uh um circulating supply versus total supply, like what that will look like? Or TBD.
Tokenomics somewhere. I think it was like 35%. Hold on. They're like 35% for like in-game emissions. I think somewhere. Or I need to find it. I don't remember this top of my head.
I'll just go and check in that case. I did, but I think I might have. I don't think I remember that part of it.
It is in the Git book somewhere.
The good book, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, 30% liquidity. There's a total supply of 400 million tokens.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And do you have a specific date for the release of the game? I know in the you said mini games Q2 and stuff like that. But in terms of like the first like totally playable version of it where you can walk around.
Like like a minimum viable product kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like if we're just talking about walking around, we already have that.
Yeah.
But there's no multiplayer yet. No multiplayer, no missions, no nothing. I'd say I'm confident that end of this year we'd have a few missions out, like actual playable gameplay loop kind of thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And probably end of Q2 we'll have ways where you can just I don't know, multiplayer enabled, maybe some really simple missions. But without the actual like gameplay loop, I don't think I'll be releasing the token. So even if we can have a playable version of the game, it'll probably just be on the testnet with a fake like token.
You basically want the whole ecosystem together, right? The cell and the before you release it. Yep, that's super smart and thoughtful. Very, very nice. And you know what? I also don't like sometimes in this industry is that it's hard to give specific dates. I shouldn't have asked you for dates. I should have asked time ranges. It's more like a list of priorities, and you go down them and finish them as you can. But like bugs can take a week to fix, or they can take a month to fix, or unexpected issues. Right? It's so hard to promise anything. I've just given people a list of priorities, and we're working towards them every day. Right?
Exactly.
You guys are kind of close to adding some of the missions.
Like releasing, like saying I'll finish. Oh, like we're aiming to do it by X date. Is like people will take that as like gospel. Like
and it's not healthy. It's not healthy. Although it's good to have like goals like that as project leaders and developers and team members and mods. Even it's usually not realistic, and it could create unrealistic expectations, especially if unexpected bugs, which are common, pop up. So makes it hard. I just don't do it, and no one asks questions. We haven't released it, though. We haven't released it, so those are all the questions I had about Dingos, at least off the bat.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think we can end it off there.
Yeah, man, this was great.
Kivia and I read all the questions that I thought were that we didn't touch on at all. So that's why I might have skipped some questions that were posted.
Yeah, you handled it very organically. I'm gonna take inspiration from that for ours, because previously I just kind of like asked the questions like one after the other, but it's kind of nicer to have a more organic flow to it. So that was good. It was good stuff.
Oh, what do you mean by getting listed, Mystical Cloud?
What if future plans are getting listed? Yeah, I'm unsure.
Or if
we technically are listed.
What plans you have to hold users?
We hold users through interest in our Discord. And thankfully, hopefully, a working product in a week and a half. I'm not worried about the price of tokens.
Yeah. I do think like in terms of the Dingo tokens, like my vision of it is that you'll be able to swap it. It's gonna be a play to earn model, but like play it for the game, not play it for the token. Like the earning part is the bonus, I guess.
Yeah. Its new chains will be available. Oh yeah. Yeah. So once we build the initial swap aggregator on Harmony and get it working correctly, it'll be very easy to just say, all right, here's AVAX and here's Phantom and here's hell, even Solana Binance Smart Chain. Here's swap.
But one Solana, because Solana's not an EVM, right? It's completely different.
Solana. Yeah. Sorry. I guess the other ones though. Yeah, I know, right? That's why people are like, why is Solana not in Dex Screener? It's like, well, yeah. A little too centralized for my taste, but they still do good work. I think, yeah.
My final question to you is, when CSGO?
Well, we already played a few rounds. Although I don't play personally, I watch them.
Yeah, well, Hunter is cracked. It's not fair.
Yeah, he is cheating. He's a cheater.
But anyone playing against us will have a 400 ping difference. So we've got that buff.
No American servers. I know the first round you guys played, the ping was insane.
Yeah, it was like 450, and then I had 6.
Yeah, it's basically just like watching images on your screen that move every now and then.
Yeah.
But it's good fun. Regardless. And I like that a portion of it goes to charity, and I appreciate Hunter and a few other mods for setting all that up for us. Paradox too helped set that up. It's been fun so far. Yeah, I should start playing. I just don't want to get wrecked.
Nah, don't worry. We got in our team. We have people who just installed the game.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, just kind of point and click. That's how it goes. Yeah, man. This has been a great, really productive conversation.
Yeah, definitely.
I appreciate all of it, and I'm about to go on a little road trip after this. So.
Oh yeah, enjoy your road trip.
Yeah, I will, man, and we'll keep in touch going forward in the next few months, and hopefully get to collaborate further on certain things. And you're welcome in our Discord whenever you want. Also, by the way,
for sure.
All right, man.
All right, see ya. Thanks for coming on.
See you, buddy. Thanks for your time too, and everybody else here. Love you.
Thank you. So I just need some people's wallet address. If you can DM it to me, that would be all good. That would be a Mad Alucard. That would be Presto the Mage. That'd be KVN. That'd be Mystical Cloud. And it was WK. If you could just DM me your wallets, that'd be great. Or DM one of the mods, doesn't matter. Either one is. Alright, thank you for listening in. I will close this stage now. Have a good rest of the day. Bye bye.